Hello, everybody. I'm Jesse Waters, along with Dana Perino, Katie Pavlich, Greg Gutfeld, and Donna Brazil. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. President Biden meeting right now with 10 Republican senators at the White House. That group of GOP lawmakers trying to cut a deal on COVID relief after Biden has repeatedly preached unity. But the far left is demanding the president ditch the bipartisanship and ram through his almost $2 trillion plan without Republicans. Bernie Sanders is leading the charge on that idea.
The question is not bipartisanship. The question is addressing the unprecedented crises that we face right now. If Republicans want to work with us, they have better ideas on how to address those crises, that's great. But to be honest with you, I have not yet heard that.
Now, the question is, what will President Biden actually do? The White House and the media are pretending the president is bipartisan Biden, but he's done the complete opposite. Instead, what Americans are getting is job-killing Joe. Remember, the new president has signed a record number of executive orders in his first week that the far left absolutely loves. Then again, it shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody, since Biden did say this as a candidate.
I have laid out the most detailed plans on the economy and on issues relating to health care and the rest of any president in modern history. I mean, it's awful detail. If I'm elected and this passes, I'm going to be good to go down as one of the most progressive presidents in American history.
So, Dana Perino, I think the big question in Washington right now is, can Joe build a coalition? I don't think he has the votes to nuke $2 trillion through. So can he build that coalition that he needs?
Well, a couple of things. If you think back to 2009 and that big stimulus bill, Jesse, one thing that we learned is that every single day the clock is ticking and the window starts to close on a bipartisan deal. This one is actually quite puzzling. I noticed a definite shift in media coverage over the weekend about the Biden administration already, now starting their second full week in office. And that was this notion that, wait, you said unity, but yet you haven't reached out to anybody. I find it quite remarkable that these 10 Republicans are willing to say, okay, look, we have an idea. Do you want to hear from us? Instead of Vice President Harris and President Biden calling them to the White House. So they'll have this meeting. I think it is basically just a patina. I think that the Democrats, they want to go big, they want to go fast, they want to go liberal. And Bernie Sanders, remember, played this very smart. He got behind Biden early on. He's like, obviously, I'm not going to win. I'm going to get behind Biden, and I'm going to be able to push as much as possible. He's actually accomplished a lot here. The other thing I would say is that the Democrats aren't even able to solidify their own side. One person who is standing out as possibly against the big deal that Biden wants to do is Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. He's saying, whoa, hold on a second. This might be too much. It might be too fast. And they sent Vice President Harris into his state to do media, which doesn't help him. President Trump won West Virginia by 40 points. Now, it's fine to go in there and try to help a senator to try to get to a decision, but you have to have the right messenger. I don't think they did that there. I think the window is closing on a bipartisan deal. They got to figure out something fast.
Yeah, Katie, but Manchin's the linchpin, and I don't think he's going to go for $2 trillion after President Biden just unveiled $2 trillion in Green New Deal spending, and after a couple trillion went out the door last quarter.
Yeah, that's the big question here. I mean, you have Republican senators saying, look, it's not that we haven't pushed through a bunch of relief. We spent trillions and trillions of dollars last year, and now we want to push through another $2 trillion, and we have $27 trillion in debt, and we don't know yet if all of the money we've already been allocating has been spent yet. But this is what you get when you lose the Senate, and you have Bernie Sanders in charge of the Budget Committee. This is all his caucus pushing from the far left to get Joe Biden to do this. And so far in his presidency, he's perfectly willing to sign whatever the left pushes onto his desk, and wouldn't be surprised if he wants to push forward with this as well. But let's not forget that Republicans also offered almost $2 trillion of relief in October, and it was denied by Nancy Pelosi because they wanted to use it as leverage for the election. Now, Democrats are going to use this and say, we have a crisis on our hands, and Republicans don't care about people, and they don't want to help with relief, and therefore we're going to push through anyway. And some Republicans now who are meeting with the president today are saying, look, if we can't get together on COVID relief, the rest of the presidency is going to be pretty rough when it comes to your claims of wanting to unify the country.
Donna, do you think President Biden's been off to a rough start? He had his deportation freeze basically tossed by a federal judge. He's had the Keystone Pipeline blow up in his face as he laid off a bunch of workers. And now this COVID relief bill starting to hit the skids. How would you assess his first 2 weeks?
Well, first of all, it hasn't been a full 2 weeks, but I look forward to the next 4 years for obvious reasons. The president has said that the plan should be, I know, hey, it's going to take a long time, but I'll get it right for the next 4 years. President Joe Biden said that the plan has to be big enough and broad enough to take care of the problems that we face as a nation. I know Katie mentioned October when Speaker Pelosi and others put forward a new bunch of ideas. Remember, it was May 15th that they passed the HEROES Act, and it took months before the Republicans got serious enough to even come to the table. I think the American people want a rescue plan that will help them. We should not be going from cliff to cliff, waiting for the next round of unemployment checks to be stopped. Let's give the American people the relief they need, target it, and make sure that we can get the kind of broad support that I think will help us through this crisis.
Greg Gutfeld, take it away.
Well, first of all, the stimulus check, I guess, was supposed to be $2,000, and now Biden is saying it's $1,400, or as the Dems like to describe it, mostly $2,000. Anyway, it's not just the $2 trillion that drives me crazy. It's what's in there. It's like the Dems keep sneaking crap into these bills because they know nobody reads them. I know, I don't read them. It's like 5,000 pages. You don't read them, and they know them. Here's an analogy, one that involves the digestive process once again. Imagine a restaurant where the chef loves to sneak X-Lax into the entrees. So you got to check each meal to make sure it doesn't go out with X-Lax. That's what the Dems do in governance. They keep sneaking stuff in, and we have to be the responsible ones, and they're just assuming we're too lazy to read. And I'm with Katie. We can't forget that in the process of trying to win an election, the Dems lost their humanity. They deliberately delayed a relief package so Trump would lose, and it was a strategy that was highly immoral, but it was successful. It caused suffering among people, but they won the election. And I think we need to have history get this right, that while Trump was cranking out these miraculous vaccines, the Dems were shutting down aid. And they are miraculous. I don't know if you saw the New York Times today, but a new study found that the 5 vaccines with public results have eliminated COVID-19 deaths. That is an amazing soundbite, right? It almost drastically reduced hospitalizations. But it was they looked at the data based on this research trial. Corona, that would normally kill 150 Americans out of 75,000, has reduced that number to 0 out of 75,000. That's a great parting gift from Trump to Biden and also to the country.
That is pretty good. And the audience can look forward to more of Greg Gutfeld's digestive analogies if they stay tuned. Coming up.